Friends, just imagine. What if you suddenly entered a world where tiny people saw you as a giant monster, and at the same time, enormous giants treated you like a mere insect? Gulliver's mysterious journey isn't just full of adventure, it's packed with fear, wonder, and jaw-dropping surprises. But what will be his ultimate fate? To find out, make sure you watch this video till the very end. The movie begins with a boy named Gulliver, who works as a mailroom worker in a company. One day, a new recruit joins, and after the interview, Gulliver takes him to distribute mails. On the way, they meet a girl named Darcy. The new recruit assumes that Gulliver likes Darcy. Later, while going down in the elevator, due to fear and sudden gunfire, Gulliver is unable to express his feelings to Darcy. During his free time, Gulliver is resting when the same boy approaches him and says, "I got my promotion. Now I am yours." This surprises Gulliver. The boy further explains that he sees a lot of potential in Gulliver, but notices that he hasn't been able to express his feelings to Darcy. The next day, Gulliver gathers courage and approaches Darcy, trying to speak about his mother, but fear holds him back. Then he picks up a random traveling form and writes on the border that he travels to different places. Darcy, a bit surprised, gives him some samples to write. Under peer pressure and with nothing coming to his mind, Gulliver copies some articles from Google. The next day, when Darcy reads it, she is pleased and assigns him work. Darcy assigns Gulliver a big task. He has to travel to the mysterious islands around the Bermuda Triangle and gather information about them. Gulliver cannot refuse and agrees to take on the mission. The very next day, he sets out on his journey. He is given a boat and a few basic instructions before being sent off. At first, everything seems normal, and he sails smoothly toward his destination. But along the way, Gulliver dozes off. When he wakes up, he finds giant waves rising all around him. His boat gets trapped in a whirlpool, and Gulliver loses consciousness. When he regains his senses, he is shocked to see tiny people climbing all over his body. They mistake Gulliver for some kind of monster and start tying him up with ropes. At first, Gulliver thinks it's all just a dream, but soon he realizes it's real. The little people manage to bring him down and this time tie him up tightly with iron chains. Afterward, he is presented before their king. The people there are equally shocked, wondering where such a huge man had come from. When the king questions him, Gulliver explains who he is and how he ended up there. They inform him that this place is Lilliput, the world's most grand and glorious kingdom. Later, Gulliver is locked inside a prison-like chamber, where he meets a tiny prisoner named Horatio. Horatio befriends Gulliver and begins talking openly with him. He is in love with Princess Mary, but General Edward had imprisoned him because the princess was Edward's fiancée. After a while, Edward lets Gulliver out and makes him work in the fields. Just then, Lilliput's enemies, the Blefuscudians, attack. These Blefuscudians were from the rival nation of Blefuscu, who came to kidnap the princess. They start fires, causing chaos in the palace. 3 bells ring, spreading danger alerts throughout the kingdom. Edward runs off alone with his sword to save the princess, but Horatio tells Gulliver that Edward won't arrive in time, so saving the princess is now Gulliver's task. Gulliver springs into action, captures the Blefuscudians, throws them into the water, and carries the princess to a safe place. Meanwhile, the fire continues, and Gulliver tries to extinguish it, burning his fingers in the process. Finally, he uses water from his toilet to put out the flames, saving both the palace and the king. The king and the palace people praise Gulliver's bravery and heroism, applauding him, but Edward is not happy at all. Afterwards, the king invites Gulliver to a feast. Gulliver makes a condition that Horatio must come along and demands his freedom. The king agrees, granting Gulliver complete liberty. At night, everyone sits together for dinner and asks Gulliver where he came from. Gulliver tells them he is from New York City, but the people think it's some kind of island. He explains that he comes from a country where democracy exists and presidents are elected. The people mistake him for being a president, and Gulliver takes advantage of this misunderstanding to make himself look great. The princess asks him when he will return, and Gulliver replies that he will leave as soon as he gets his boat. The king assures him that their navy will find it, and until then, all arrangements for his stay will be made. Craftsmen build necessary things for Gulliver, prepare a cup of coffee, and within 7 days, they create a grand house and infrastructure for him. Gulliver is amazed and delighted by their skills. Knowing that Horatio loves the princess, Gulliver gives him tips. Horatio then stands on the roof and recites the romantic lines suggested by Gulliver, which slowly helps him build a bond with the princess. The princess invites Gulliver to meet her the next evening. That night, the king's army discovers Gulliver's broken boat. Gulliver feels happy to see it, though the boat was split into 2 parts. He believes the people of Lilliput will repair it for him. Meanwhile, the soldiers also find Gulliver's phone and a magazine about building robots, which Edward examines carefully. The next day, Gulliver meets the princess. She confides that she likes Horatio, but Edward keeps troubling her. She also asks Gulliver if he doesn't miss his homeland. Gulliver replies that he plans to stay a few more days. Meanwhile, Edward tries to provoke the king against Gulliver, but the king ignores him and instead grants Gulliver a royal position. Enraged, Edward withdraws the security, giving the Blefuscians a chance to attack. When Gulliver hears the news, Edward insists that he should kill the enemies, but instead, Gulliver removes his clothes, steps into the water, and tells the Blefuscians that he doesn't wish to kill anyone. He proposes that they just pretend to fight and then return. Gulliver starts the act, but the enemies actually attack him with cannons from all sides. The bullets don't harm him. Instead, Gulliver smashes their ships and pushes them away with ropes, easily winning the battle. The people cheer his name, and soon Gulliver becomes the most famous man in Lilliput. After the fight, soldiers massage his back, craftsmen cut his hair, and he is dressed in a soldier's uniform. Gulliver enjoys the luxury, unaware that Edward is about to ruin his happiness. Edward teams up with the Blefuscians and hatches a plan to kill Gulliver. He orders the magazine found near Gulliver's boat, which contained instructions on building robots. One day, while a grand party is happening in Lilliput, suddenly 5 bells ring. Horatio says this has never happened before. Panic spreads as Edward arrives in a red iron chamber that transforms into a massive robot. Controlling it from inside, Edward challenges Gulliver to battle. Gulliver tries to push it away but starts losing. The crowd shouts, "You're the president! Don't give up so easily!" That's when Gulliver finally confesses he's not a president at all, just a common man. Everyone loses faith in Gulliver, and he is captured and left stranded on another island. While calling for help, he suddenly finds himself trapped inside a glass bottle. When he regains consciousness, he realizes he's been dressed in girl's clothes. A little girl opens the door, mistaking him for a doll. She feeds him milk, puts him in a diaper, and makes him play childish games. Meanwhile, it's revealed that the Blefuscians have taken over Lilliput. Darcy, following Gulliver's trail, also arrives there but is captured. Soon, news reaches Gulliver that Darcy has been imprisoned. Without wasting time, he decides to return to Lilliput with Horatio's help. Inside the prison, Gulliver finally reunites with Darcy. Shocked, Darcy looks around at the strange world of tiny people. Gulliver explains everything to her, and this time, gathering courage, he confesses his true feelings, that he really likes her. Gulliver first frees the king and queen of Lilliput from prison, then challenges Edward to one final battle. Everyone gathers in the arena as the fight begins. Edward's advanced robot once again overpowers Gulliver, but this time Horatio cleverly sneaks inside the machine and sabotages its mechanism. Seizing the moment, Gulliver attacks and completely destroys the robot, which makes Darcy overjoyed. Afterward, Horatio proposes to Princess Mary in front of everyone, and the king, impressed by his bravery, gives them permission to marry. Edward makes one last desperate attempt to kidnap the princess, but fails miserably. Finally, Lilliput is freed, and the people celebrate their victory. Gulliver and Darcy return to their own world, where Gulliver gets promoted to editor. Now, he truly travels to different places and writes articles about them, living the adventurous life he always dreamed of. And with that, the film comes to an end.